One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You want to see yourselves? Do you want to see yourselves?
No, I don't need to see.
Oh, wait,
I see enough of me. No.
It's showing up.
No. Yeah. We don't need to see us.
Well, I think they want to see us. Hold on.
What time is it? Okay, it's 1:02, guys. Welcome to another Friday Tech Talk.
All right.
Today's Tech Talk subject is going to be on increasing your chances of getting a job by going to meetups. Now, I know I talked to you guys a lot about going to meetups, for those of you who have been around here long enough. And the reason why I always encourage you guys to go to meetups is because I go to so many of them. And if I was a student and I was in your position, I feel like, this is not being cocky or anything, it wouldn't take me long to get a job at all. I always tell people that, you know, if you go in and you wear a nice outfit and then you have a willingness to intermingle with people and talk to people and be very curious about other individuals, your chances of getting a job are very high. I mean, you could be like somebody just living off the street. You go into a meetup and you wear something nice, you get free food, you go in there and you talk to somebody, you don't know if they're a hiring manager. Next thing you know, you talk to them about yourselves and what your skills are and what you can provide for them, and then you end up getting a job. Possibly. Now, a few things that I wanted to cover today is like why it's important to go to Tech Talks. What's the strategy that you're going to implement while going to, or not Tech Talks, meetups? And what's your strategy on going into it? And I think that everyone should have a strategy. I mean, you're going to waste a lot of time going to these meetups if you're just going to go in there willy-nilly, not having a plan or like a purpose for going there, right? You're not just going there just to get this free food or just, you know, just to meet somebody new just for fun, right? You guys have a clear objective and a clear goal on why you guys are going out there. We have some students who have gone with me in the past to these meetups, and I think that it's been successful so far. Aaron has been one of them. Can you not? Thank you. And then he's going to be giving a little bit of his experience, sharing a little bit of his experience on what it's been like, what he's seen, and what's been useful for him. So how many of you guys have actually gone to a meetup? So almost everybody here. What's your experience been so far by going to a meetup?
Well, I'm kind of an introverted misanthrope, so
Right.
I mean, I talked to a couple people sitting next to me, and sort of found out about where they were in their sort of progress, and I'm just sort of not really that far into the job searching area yet. So I was more just trying to get a feel for the situation.
Right. Okay, good. And that's kind of how most of you guys are approaching it as well, right? And I hear that a lot. I'm very introverted. I don't know what to say when I approach these individuals. Like, what do I say? How do I act? Or, you know, how do I even approach this person, right? That's the first thing. For me, it's always been the most effective way to do it is to be inquisitive, to want to learn more about them than what you want to say about yourself. When you hear about them, it gives you kind of cues and ideas of how to approach your conversation, what to say to them once they've finished, right? But one of the way that I'm going to lay this out today is I'll go through Caligator and Meetup, and then we'll look through different meetups, and then I'll show you guys which ones I automatically see as like the most effective ones or beneficial ones to go to, and how I would approach it. So first off, like for example, when you go to Meetup, right? You guys all been on Meetup? Seems like. All right, so let's go find.
You log in first.
Huh? Okay, let's go. Do you use that?
There's three places that you can look for what we call meetups. And I'm putting quotes around it because meetup is kind of the generic term. But meetup.com is obviously the default on that. But Caligator.org is another site, and another one is event.com. And once in a while you'll find a meetup that has Eventbrite as the place where you actually reserve your spot, where you have to pay for the ability to go to that meetup. It's a rarity to find a meetup group that you have to pay for their meeting. So, I mean, being able to show up there and get some good pizza, like we have pizza here today. They have good food. Sometimes they have beer and wine and things like that. A meeting that I went to last night had that. And so there's a lot of ability to come right from here and walk straight there. But a lot of them are right here downtown, and they are at places that you want to look at for getting a job, and that's really important. So, is there a hand back there?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Based on your experience, have you noticed any major differences between the three sites? I've been mostly using Meetup.com.
Mhm.
I've kind of looked at Caligator. It seems like a mishmash of tons of random stuff kind of thrown at you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm just curious if you've been to Eventbrite, Caligator meetups, and meetups or Meetup.com. If there's any, quality differences or, I guess community
They
differences.
cross-reference each other.
They do cross-reference, but one thing I noticed about Caligator too is that a lot of times they tend to be more community-based, and so you may actually find some things that are tied in with the city of Portland or the city of Salem or wherever different people are at in our virtual setting here. But they tend to have a little bit more of a focus on community things. So the one that I suggested a while back from Hack Oregon, that was promoted very heavily on Caligator, and that was more of a civic sort of thing where you're dealing with civic duties and data and how do we make the governmental situation better. And so you might find a little bit more of that. I tend to like Meetup.com a lot because it has my preferences in there. I typed in a whole bunch of search terms, and I have a whole lot of groups that I'm connected to. I think I'm connected to 157 different groups. And that isn't because I go to 157 meetings a month. It's because some groups go dormant. And so you may sign up for something and you may not see a meetup for them that doesn't happen for 3-4 months. Or they get busy, the people that organize it get busy, and they go on to other things. And so once in a while they get marooned and eventually they may die. But some of the really great ones are ones that stay active on a regular basis. And those are the ones that you typically see a lot of people going to. So you will see a lot of people sign up for a meetup group. Usually there's a reason for that. Usually it's very general in focus, and they have a lot of different things that they're showing in one meeting. And I think it's worthwhile to check those out. Last night, there were 5 different groups that I wanted to go to, 5 different meetup things, and they were all at the same time. And that was frustrating to me because what do I do? And so I I went to one and I saw one student, Tyler, and he said hi. And it's nice to be able to say hi to people you know there. And sometimes you do a little tag team, and that's what Tony is also offering too. But anyways, there's a lot of depth in some of these meetups. They're very focused on, diving deep into the technology. And that's okay too, especially because now you've had a good foundation that you're building on right here at the Tech Academy, and being able to then dive deep even further and talk to people that are very active in using the tools that you're learning here. And that's exactly where you find a lot of jobs. And they estimate 80% of the jobs are not posted. And if you can think, that is a huge, huge amount. And it sounds kind of phony. I mean, how could that be? 80% of the jobs? It has everything to do with who you talk to. And you may talk to a friend that tells you about something that's posted. So that's still counting in that aspect. But having the ability to connect with people that tell you about jobs beforehand is worthwhile. We have students that are actively reaching out to companies. Kristen is working on an opportunity right now that she is trying to work out a project that she can do for a company. Being proactive is really great, and so you show that proactiveness by meeting somebody at a meetup and talking about your interests and talking about what you've been able to accomplish. I think that that's really important because that gets them interested in you. And they say, hey, would you mind sending me your resume? And that's exactly why we need to have prepared resumes. So, Tony?
Who here would say that they go to a lot of meetups?
No hands are being raised, just to let you
Depends
know.
on what a lot means.
I do. I know I go to a lot of meetups.
I do too.
Right.
If a question.
I go to a lot of meetups, but they're not really tech related.
Yeah. See, every meetup that I've gone to has been tech related.
Can I speak to that too? They may not all be tech related, and I don't go to a lot of meetups that are not tech related, but sometimes that is your in. You are like the only developer that is at that meeting.
That's true.
And they are like, I need some help with my website.
That's true.
I have seen that at a community access television station that was here in Portland. And I was like the only guy there that spoke any type of technical jargon to them. And they were like, hey, would you know somebody that could do my website? And so I presented the opportunity to some students here. That is sometimes your way in. And if you're vocal with what you do or what you're interested in doing, or that you're looking for a job, that sometimes is the door opening for you. So, cool. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's all good, man. So what I normally do when I go to look for a meetup that I want to go to, so this one right here, this one is probably good for you guys because it's something that you can learn a lot from. The benefits of going to these meetups is, one, obviously you get to learn something. Two, you get to meet a lot of people. Three, you don't know what kind of opportunities you might bump into, right? And four, it forces you to look at things in a different way and forces you to, it's almost like a challenge to yourself to put you in situations where you're not very comfortable, right? And then so you get to go away and you reevaluate how you interacted with other individuals at that time. So the next time is another opportunity to be better, right? And so that's how I view these meetups every single time. I get put into situations where I'm uncomfortable. I'm doing it. I'm not like completely confident every single time I go. There's times where I feel really like not confident at all. Like for when I go to like women in tech events, I'm the only guy there, and there's like 80 women there, and they're like full of energy and so excited to help each other and learn what each other are all about. And they see this one guy in the corner, just look like a creeper, just like hovering around. You know, that's how I feel at least. And from what I've heard, I probably am viewed that way too. But anyways,
Can I ask a question?
Huh?
Who would consider themselves an introvert here? There's a lot of hands.
like most of the people that are going to these tech events, they are introverts. So they're trying just as hard as you guys.
But you can also always find someone that's more introverted than you there and go sit next to them, and then you become the extrovert.
So, there you go.
That's good.
There you go.
Good.
See, you're already developing strategies.
But also,
Right.
you're putting them at ease too. If you're sitting next to somebody that's an introvert, and just because you're able to say hi to them and say, "Hey, what do you do?" and that sort of thing, they open up, and you never know. You might find a friend, that will help you, guide you through the tech maze. So, those are good things. Yeah.
I have a question. What about those of us who are also, in addition to being introverted, also very green? Everything I know about code, I've learned here.
Okay.
I came in with absolutely zero experience prior
Mhm.
to the program.
That's where you dive in deep. When I was first here myself, I was very green, and I started going to some hacker group sort of actions where you're supposed to bring your laptop
Yeah.
and do some coding, and it's like I don't really know what I'm doing yet at all. And just because you're there, just because you're willing to step out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
there are people that will sit down with you and talk to you and say, "Hey, this is how you do this," or
Oh, okay.
"This is how you get set up on it."
Sure.
They'll give you hints along the way, especially if you reach out to them. People really want to help other people. That is something that's really key.
Nobody starts out knowing anything like that.
That's right.
It's like it is not an intuitive thing like learning how to speak.
You have to start somewhere, and that's what it's about. Yeah.
I would add too, like, it looks way better to just be honest and say, I have no idea, but I want to learn, than to pretend like you know something that you don't. And then, like,
Very
get down this rabbit hole and be like, okay, I actually don't know anything.
Exactly.
Way over my head.
Exactly.
Busted.
The tech community here is very supportive. Anyone that you meet and you express to them that you are green, they can point you in the right directions, and there's resources out there that they can point you to that you never knew about before, you might not have heard of.
Sure.
And so it's good to express that you're green, you're brand new, and you have this willingness to learn. You put yourself out there. Just putting yourself out there to go these meetups, people see that you have this level of interest already. And then if you're uncomfortable, people notice that as well.
Sure.
But the fact that you're actually making the effort to come out there and then talk to me, even though you're uncomfortable,
Yeah.
shows me that you have some sort of passion or some sort of willingness to actually remove yourself from that and then bring yourself into a better situation.
All right.
So one of the first meetups that I went to is Metal Toad. Have you guys anybody here gone to Metal Toad yet?
Tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. All right. So Metal Toad is a great meetup, and the reason why is because there are people who are green that go there, brand new to coding, or have come back from working in a different industry for a very long time, or there's people who are very seasoned, and then they break up into groups, and then so here there's coding and career help. The career portion of it is for a lot of people who are brand new to going into Metal Toad. They'll put you into a room, and then they'll go around the room. They'll ask what everybody's doing, where everybody's at, what their skills are, and then they'll see how they can help you. And then they'll give you ideas on what you could look at. If you're not at a code school, they might tell you might consider going to a code school. Or if you're already in a code school, they'll say, you know what, there's these volunteering opportunities that people will have. This guy needs some work done. Maybe you can go out there and provide some free help for them. And so they'll point you into direction or point you somewhere that you never would have thought of before. And then for somebody who is more seasoned, they break up into like groups where they're working on different projects. Some are working on like Swift projects or Android projects or whatever projects, right? And then or Java projects. You just kind of like just sit with them for a minute, and it's very uncomfortable at first, of course, because you're put into a brand new environment that you know nothing about, But the fact that you just keep doing it, you're actually doing it is what's the most important thing. Same with these meetups. It's not everybody's not going to come into it like feeling like super confident, but you will, because now I go into a room and I have like exactly how I'm going to go into a meetup and how I'm going to do it, how much time I'm going to spend with somebody, and I bring a wingman with me, and I approach it as though like we're going to cover as much space possible. This is what I'm going to do. This is what you're going to do. Okay, and then we're going to meet back in 30 minutes. Okay, and then this is how many people I'm going to try to talk to. What am I going to say with Aaron before? If Aaron, you can come up here. We talk a little bit about like our experience. So Aaron has actually come with me before when he was at. We went through the tech crawl. You guys did. Who went here? Went through the tech crawl. All right. So Aaron, maybe you can talk a little bit about like what you saw when I would go and then interact with these individuals, and then what your experience was and what you drew from it.
Just the tech crawl specifically, or just
Or just like The tech crawl and then meetups in general.
So when I went to the tech crawl, I very much I'm introverted and I'm going to go sit in this corner, maybe look around the room, see if there's anything interesting, and then head on to the next place. That doesn't work, I promise. So I ran into Tony, and I was like, Tony, dude, you've got to help me out. I have no idea how to talk to people. Like, what do I do? And he's like, watch what I do right here, and try to pick up as much as you can about it. And there were a couple things that I saw in his first interaction with somebody. First thing he did is he walked up and he asked them, what is it that brought them to where they're at? So we were at Puppet, and he just walked up to somebody and said, hey, so what brings you here tonight? The person just immediately started talking about what they do, why they're at Puppet, like why they wanted to work there, like how much fun they were having at the tech crawl, and they just went on and on and on and on and on. And Tony's just like adding on, and then like he used that information that person just gave him because he just asked a simple question, and he added on to the conversation, traded business cards, and he'd immediately move on to somebody else. So I kind of learned a couple things. First was like be genuinely interested in what they're talking about. But at the same time, like if you're at a meetup or in this situation, if you're at a tech crawl and there's a lot of things to do, a lot of people to meet, you got to make sure that you're still interacting with as many people as you can. So saw him meet this one person. It was no more than like a 3-minute conversation. I think Tony learned everything possible about this person. And he moved on to somebody else and did the exact same thing, traded business cards. And I think at the end of the night, you had like
A ton.
Yeah, you had like 40 business cards and like a bunch of people to connect with, and it was great. So then he critiqued me on what I did. So I walked up to somebody and I tried to do the same thing, and they asked me a question and I like choked. I was like, ugh, they didn't ask Tony a question, what do I do? So I just like tried to answer, and then I realized that I was starting to talk more about myself than about them. And so I tried to get it back on them, and then once I got it back on them, they started talking more about themselves and about things that like they think I should look at. So what I started learning is that the less you keep it on yourself, like the more you're going to learn, and the higher your chances are of asking the right question will be. I think the best advice I got that night and at other meetups was when you're trying to network with people, the best way to think about it is by like picking up a random person for a date. Just walking up to somebody and trying to pick them up for a date or something.
That's the approach I use. Like seriously.
It was the best advice I've ever got.
Is that the best advice you've ever gotten?
When it comes to meetups, that is the best advice I've got.
Well, the idea behind that too is because you want to develop a quality relationship with this person. It's not just about like, meeting somebody, moving on, meeting somebody, moving on. It's about accumulating this network, right? And then based off that network, you want to have the intention of building a relationship with that individual.
Question.
Maybe you could talk about this in a little bit, but just to jump ahead. Once you've established that, once you have, I think for me, getting out to people is the hard part. It's that, well, what do I do next besides send them, hey, it's really nice to meet you at the tech call or whatever I met them at. It was great to talk about X, Y, and Z. You help me find a job? You know what? You obviously don't say that.
Right.
You get what I'm.
I do. And the thing is, the next step is I want to be able to meet with them where I can have like a quality conversation with them. So so we've had the initial meeting. So I want to invite them to a place where we can actually get to know each other. So we can like find out like what value I have to bring to the table for you. And obviously I saw some value in you. That's why I want to talk to you in the beginning, right? I'm not just, and that's another thing too, is like you always have to be aware of those little things. And then just pay attention to it and remember those conversations, because that's why it's important to be genuine too, because you'll remember that interaction. Because if you weren't genuine, you wouldn't have listened very carefully, right? At the beginning, that initial reaction, you probably wouldn't have listened to exactly who was this person again? When did I meet him? How did I meet him? What does he do? Why do I have his business card?
Right.
So that's kind of something that like I try to stay away from. Like everybody that I talk to, I want to make it like a valuable experience, you know, like a genuine experience, and draw from that, because I always remember who it is, and I always remember what they said and what our conversation is. So try not to drink so much when you're at these events.
Well, you can take notes also on the back of the card afterwards. You know, remember some of the details of what you talked about, so that you can write them down. Scolin's next.
Just to go back to the initial meeting, most of the people at the meetups are, at least in my experience, is that they're in like group conversations. There are very few people that are just standing or sitting by themselves. So do you have any tips for how to approach a group?
I typically make it so that I try to be the group. Like I try to be the group.
Or you try
I always scan the room. Like I always scan the room, and then I always see like who's by themselves, right? And then I'll talk to that individual, and if we don't have very much that, you know, we can offer each other or bring value to each other, then I kind of say, oh, it's great to meet you, and then I move on. And then I don't like intentionally look out for groups to join. I kind of, and if I happen to join them, great. If I don't like hover, because then you're kind of that weird guy who's like just like hovering, waiting to get into a conversation, and then you might never get in, and then, you know, the meetup's only an hour long, and you spent like 20 minutes trying to get into this conversation, and nothing happened, you know? So I always look at it, I always pay attention to how much time I have, and then like who is like it just kind of happens.
to filter out the groups that you had a lot of people.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Yeah. One technique that I do use to get into groups is like if I've talked to somebody, or if I have a wingman or something. I don't want to call it a wingman. Never mind. If I have a partner who's coming with me, what I do is sometimes if there is a group, what I'll do is I'll try to listen into what they're saying. And if that's a group that I want to get into, and then both of us will go over there and then say, oh, that sounds really interesting what you're talking about. So it's not just me, it's somebody else too who's going into it. So we're adding to the group. And then I'll try to listen to like what they said, and I'm like, that's really interesting. And I really want to learn more about it. But make sure that that's really something that you really want to learn. Yeah.
Usually, also before you go to the meetup, try to find out just a little bit of information so that you're coming there with a little bit of information. Like, how do you feel about this topic that they're talking about? Like, for instance, last night I was at a meetup and they were talking about user experience. User experience means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and you might get 50 different definitions of what user experience means. Is it user interface, or is it user experience? What does that mean? And so when I was talking to somebody that I was sitting next to, you know, I started talking about user experience, and they were like, oh, really? You know, and they were really interested in what I was saying. And because I had a little bit of knowledge going in, that was a helpful thing. I had some experiential knowledge, too, of working on something with that. But the thing is that just doing a little bit of research, if you don't know anything about a topic and it sounds interesting, Google it first. You know, that way you come in with some questions as well. So maybe you can ask the presenter a question or two. Like, what do you think about this? This is something that I've been kind of trying to understand, and so you're drawing information from them. They're happy to expand upon it and help you to learn about it. So that's important.
On the business card front, if you're showing up to a meetup and you haven't got your business cards yet, should you still be asking for other people's, or kind of avoiding?
I still don't have my business card.
You don't have a business
You
card?
don't?
Yet,
No. I use the Tech Academy's business card.
Well, that's a business card, though.
Well, not because it doesn't have my own name on it. I just say, oh, this, you know, look at the Tech Academy. This is where I'm from.
Is are business cards still primarily analog, or are they?
But most of the time I don't.
Or
I don't
you know,
bring it.
do folks just share contact information through their smart device?
It's usually more the analog card.
Okay.
I've had a couple people that have said, oh, yeah, are people still using those, or
Yeah.
something like that, but that's more the rarity.
Sure.
People are happy to have a physical piece that they can hand somebody.
Yeah.
You know, they're not using the Samsung S Beam or whatever. You know, let's touch phones here. You know,
Sure.
we're not doing that typically. It's something that you're showing that's part of who you are.
Yeah.
You know, this is a projection of you.
Sure.
And so a lot of times with the business card, we try to keep it really fairly simple. You know,
Sure.
something where it says your name, software developer or code wrangler or whatever you want to say. That's maybe will start a conversation.
Sure.
But your phone number, your email, that's basically about all you need on your business card. But you might have something simple for a design on there. It's
Sure.
nothing that you want to show on there that looks like you are representing a company. That's something I want to make sure that people understand. I personally had cards before in the past where I put I made a logo with my initials, and it looked really cool, but people always assumed that was a company.
Uh-huh.
And so, if you're looking for a job and you hand somebody a card and you say, I'm looking for a position, and that sort of thing, but you show them a card that says something different, there's going to be a disconnect there.
Sure.
Everything that you do needs to revolve around a central
Right.
thought or concept. That brand is you.
Yeah.
You're saying that brand, but it is definitely you. And the more you can show your value and what you could offer a company, the better off you are. So, cool. You want to show some
Yeah.
more meetup groups?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
would just like to. I think Michael has a really good brand presence in terms of what you're saying, tying it all back together. So we're going to try to mimic.
Uh-huh.
His LinkedIn name is the same. I don't know if he has a Twitter, but I know his GitHub is the same. His
Mhm.
email is the same.
Right.
So it's on his business card. It says Michael Allen for all of these things, and it's all
Mhm.
consistent across the board. So I tried to do that with my Twitter and GitHub, and I was able. And my website name too was the same as all of those.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah, so
cohesive
that was a really
thing.
good hint that I got from him that I
Mhm.
encourage other people to look into.
Yeah.
Absolutely right about that. That's
Yeah.
definitely something I need to work on more myself. It would just up my game up a lot more actually, if I did that and everything was all cohesive and
Tony the Tiger.
Tony the Tiger.
But the meetup, your meetup identity, I don't think you can put your name on there. It's more of a code. But having that meetup identity is part of something that you send out in your emails. On my signature, my personal signature, I have my meetup on it. Takes somebody to my meetup profile. My LinkedIn, it's the same thing. There are ways that you can add that for free or pay a little bit to remove branding. But those things are great because it shows your LinkedIn, your meetup ID, your GitHub. All of these things are very cohesive in showing that this is who I am, and this is how you can get in touch with me. This is how you can find out more about what I can do. So that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now I want to give you guys a heads up because I'm going to break you guys into pairs, and then I want you guys to practice as though you guys are at a meetup, and then introduce yourselves, and then just kind of use those tools and techniques that have kind of been discussed here so far, and then just practice that. Get used to it. And then before we leave today too, I have this up here that I want you guys to each come up and then sign in for like a meetup. Look up a meetup that you guys want to go to, and I'll go with you guys. I'll personally go with you guys so that you guys can see what it's like and what the benefit is by going with another person. It's really important that, to me, I think going with another person is always that much better because you can cover more ground, and then you guys can introduce each other to people. Like if I was going with Aaron and then Aaron didn't meet this person yet, I was like, hey, Aaron, come meet this person. Or, hey, I'd love for you to meet Aaron because
Great.
so-and-so,
Great stuff.
And so you're connecting more people, and then you're building, a stronger relationship because it's just, I feel like having more people involved. Yeah.
So when you say that when you go over the person, you try to cover more ground, do you mean so in the sense that, like, as you were just describing, like, you reference each other when you meet will be interesting people, or do you, like, after it's over, you say, hi, hey, I met this person, and they were interested in this?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So both.
Yeah, so both those. So
Collaboration is good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Right. So why don't you guys go ahead and break up into like pairs, as whoever you're sitting next to, and then just stand up and then talk to each other, introduce each other, and then just approach it as though you are at a meetup.
Well, I'm just sort of
South Florida area. I like your first study about how do you
really familiar with a lot about
I do know a fair amount.
Seems like use my profile.
Yeah, could you? Because mine's not really. I only have like, I'm very limited.
I don't know if you can search my profile or something like that. You can
Yeah, I'll log out and you can just log into yours if you want.
or just you can search. I think search for an individual user or something.
How do I do that? Oh, whoops.
So now you're out again. I don't know if I know my login information. It's all automatic. What about?
Sprite the lights.
I've been having some big dogs. Really good.
There's only light left.
Oh, I'll go for that. Thank you.
You can.
Like Tony was at short time.
That's one of the things. I mean, I had been introduced in kind of a secondary background education.
Yeah, eventually that's what it's going
What's patent supposed to be? It's like once a month.
No, they have like a couple. I think they have. Yeah, this is Tuesday next week, but this one's coming out on the 13th. He was just here.
December 13th.
I think they just had one.
Yeah, they have one Tuesday. No, they're gonna have one Tuesday.
I don't like it.
It's a really big meetup. I heard it's fun though.
Is this not going places?
Is that just a get together on the 22nd?
It's a downtown thing where they're meeting at a pub, so it's not going to be like a traditional one. So,
Probably not.
All right, guys, I'll give you guys another minute.
What's interesting
Can I turn something off real quick?
you're turning off.
My notifications. Oh wait. It was already on.
This is your computer.
Yes. I think it might turn.
Really got into the HTML. So the videos actually the guy doesn't really know
The next, I'm probably gonna go to Nelson.
I've already done it.
I want to see if somebody wants to give me assistance on my or see if there's just something interesting. I'm just gonna go to I felt so awkward when I tried to do that the first time. I was like, I missed the group. I missed the meet and greet. I don't know what it was.
All right, guys. All right, guys. So how was it? Pretty easy? You survived.
Yeah.
How was it? Pretty easy? Pretty easy, right? Yeah, you get. Well, that's another thing. You guys kind of already know each other, and so it's easy to talk to each other. But why not take that same approach when you meet somebody else? Like, you had to strike up a conversation, right? You didn't just say, what should we talk about? No, I didn't hear anybody say, so what should we talk about, right? Everybody just kind of just started talking, right? And then it should just be that natural. You're just starting a conversation with somebody, and whether it's somebody you know or somebody you don't know, it doesn't really matter. You just approach it the same way. That's how I do it. And then, so I want to hear some of your experiences. So let's hear about what you guys talked about, or what your experience was. What was your experience like?
Oh, it's really good. It's easy because we chatted a little bit before the talk.
Okay.
We talked about
Cool. What about somebody else? You guys.
Well, I mostly just started asking me questions about like what you're doing, stuff. And, yeah, it's, I don't know, for me, I just like hearing about people and like learning just about them, and everybody's got their own ideas and their own stories. So
Right.
I don't know, you just ask them questions, and then like
Exactly.
if they seem particularly interested in something, and ask them to explain it more.
Yeah.
You usually get really excited about that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Pretty much all I want.
Yeah. I think you and I, we've talked about things before where you just let somebody talk about their interest, and then by the time you're done, you didn't get anything in, but then they love you now. They're like, dude, this person's amazing, and all you did was listen. You didn't even say anything, right?
Yeah.
We even heard Tom say about his experience with his interview, He just talked about what the other guy liked. And then the other guy was just like, dude, you're just such an awesome guy. We're going to hire you, right? So people like to hear themselves talk, and they like to know that somebody's, genuinely interested. How about you guys, Diana?
Oh, it was fun because it turned out we both go to the same place.
See? How'd you guys do that?
But there were some differences
wild.
too because we came in at different times. Like some of the programs have changed. Like
Yeah.
the HTML is different by the time she hit it than I did it. So just
Oh, yeah.
kind of comparing and contrasting war stories, if you will.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to find out what is more interested in than not. Going by Python.
Cool. Well, the common theme is you guys are having like a genuine interaction.
Yeah.
Just like it's nothing forced. You guys didn't try to do anything. You just did it. And so that's the approach that I take when I go to these meetups too. And I found that I've been really successful at. And so the whole point of this is just to see how you want to increase your chances of getting a job. Well, when you work with somebody, I want to know if I can work with you. I want to know if your behavioral skills are going to fit into my company culture. Right? So these are the things that you guys are just kind of feeling out here. And then so if you approach it very forced and just doing it because you feel like you have to, it's just gonna just kind of shooting yourself in the foot. You're not getting the full value out of it. And so and another thing too, did you guys notice that you guys could have talked for like way longer if I just let you guys? Right? You guys could have talked for like another 10-15 minutes, but then when you're at a meetup, you're a limited time. And then so what you want to consider is that what's your exit strategy? Yeah? Because one thing that I noticed when I first started going to these meetups was like I wanted to be nice. I wanted to be the nice guy, and I didn't want to be rude by saying, "Hey, I gotta go," or "I gotta talk to somebody else." So you have to always think about how you're gonna wrap up the conversation. But you do that you're in your own unique way. I can't really tell you how you should do that because, Well, what I would do is like okay. So when I see the conversation losing steam or momentum, I'd be like, oh, okay. So it was great talking to you.
Yeah, it's good to talk with you too.
Yeah. So have you had any of the food here yet?
Oh, no, I was thinking about getting something over there. But,
Okay. Yeah. Let's go get some food. And then I walk away, but then that gives me a time to break. Right?
But then I'm following you, right?
Yeah, but you're following. But
So you bail on your conversation.
so then that's why I say you got to make it unique for you. That's how I do it. That's how I do it. Yeah.
You gotta go with
Yeah.
oh, look at the kitty.
Squirrel!
That's how I do it. It works for me.
No, but you can also say something like, "Hey, can we exchange cards? I really,
That too, yeah,
I'd really
absolutely.
like to exchange cards with you." And so you get that card, and you say, "Hey, I'll shoot you an email, or we can connect on LinkedIn, or something like that."
Cool. Thanks. Nice meeting you. Bye.
Cool. Bye.
Not like that.
Something like that. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys get it, right? So your goal, my goal going into it is networking with as many people as I can so that I can bring them to the school so that you guys can meet them as well. For you guys, it's meeting people to establish a relationship that you might build into a working relationship, right? And then so instead of just shooting out that resume to like 50 different companies, each company has like 1,000 people we get like resumes from, right? And then I hear time and time again from HR managers or recruiters like, "Oh, you're that person? Oh, okay." So they'll pull your resume from the stack and say, "Okay, great. Now I can put a face to this resume. Great, thank you for coming out." Right? That helps them,
Absolutely.
right? So you never know who you're going to meet out there. You might have, so it's so important to go out there and build these relationships. That's your goal. My goal is to meet these people to bring back here so you guys can meet them as well. Your goal is to build a relationship that might turn into a working relationship where you might be able to work with that person soon.
You never know. You might actually meet the CEO of the company too, and you
Yeah.
start talking with them because you're like, "I don't know who this person is." You just start talking about what you're interested in,
Yeah.
and they say, "Hey, then you exchange cards and you find out, hey, this is the CEO, and it's like then you reach out to them again,
That's happened to
and
me lots of times.
because it's been really comfortable and not a forced thing,
Mhm.
they say, "Hey, why don't you go talk with this person over in this department?"
Yep.
And it's like that starts to turn into an interview. Good thing.
I told you guys about how I met the owner of Urban Airship. You guys know who Urban Airship is? Right? And I didn't even know it was him. He was like, yeah, what happened was I was just talking with a group of people, and then he came over. He was like, hey, guys. Started talking. I just thought he was just another random tech guy. And then later I see him go up and talk as a presenter, right? I was like, okay, cool. He's a presenter here. And then he says, oh, yeah, so when I founded Urban Airship, I was like, ooh. He's a founder? It's like, that's amazing. So, like, at the time, he was like, yeah, you guys are the guys that I want to meet. Yeah, we should, meet up and go to dinner sometime. And I'm thinking, I barely know this guy. He's asking me to go dinner. Right? But you never know who he's but he's very casual, very, very friendly, and you never know who that individual is.
Right.
And so, these meetups in Portland is such a small community. It's big enough, but it's small enough to be intimate enough, and everybody here is awesome. Everybody here cares about each other. Everybody here is passionate within this tech community. Go ahead.
I was going to say that it's not just meetups as well. It's just a party with a couple of professionals just talking about what they're doing. One guy says, "Oh, I've got someone I just hired. Went to a tech school in Portland. I want to talk to them and see what you do for tech." Also, now conversing with them about what he's doing. But just in any situation, just begin talking about what you're doing. Someone's going to have something. Hey, what's
Exactly.
Have something for you.
Exactly.
Somebody will know somebody
Always networking. It doesn't
who knows
shut
tech.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
I was
that's,
just sitting in a coffee shop once coding, and then someone looked over my shoulder and they're like, they saw that I was coding on the computer and were like, oh, I'm looking for a developer. Like, can I have your card? I was like, I'm not a developer yet. I'm just like messing around. But I didn't have a card either, and I wasn't looking to be employed at that time. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah, things like that happen.
So your takeaway is that you need a card, right?
Yeah, that you just that anything can happen anywhere.
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's
You
kind
don't
of
even have to
encouraging
seek
when people are doing that,
Yeah.
kind of randomly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I need a coder.
You may be the only person that they can
Yeah.
see that can do stuff, and it's like, great. It's like that meeting I was talking about earlier, where I was the only tech person at that meetup,
Yeah.
and it's
For
like,
most people,
yeah.
coding is different. It's indiscernible from magic. It literally just happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I have a follow-up question to the previous question about what if you're an introvert and green and a transplant? I'm from the South, so this is the first time I've been out on the West Coast.
that's a
great.
cool thing to talk about.
You're in the majority.
Drink
Yeah.
beer. Drink
You're-
a lot. If you say.
Yeah, drink a lot.
Tony said don't do that, but way to go, girls.
Oh no.
That does
You're
bring
not
up
in the
something.
minority.
That does bring up something, though.
You're not at all.
If you don't drink, don't feel uncomfortable. I don't drink at all. I go to a lot of meetups. I don't drink, and a lot of people are drinking beer. I don't drink. Period.
Yeah,
So-
I don't drink either.
so-
and so
Just get comfortable in your own skin. Realize that these are people. They have problems and mistakes that they make. In fact, one of the 2 meetups that I went to last night, there was a whole panel of people, and it was focused on failure. How they failed and what things they screwed up on.
wow.
And after listening to that, I'm thinking, I'm probably better off than half of those people there. And it's like, these are the experts sitting in front of you. So don't feel like people are way up on some other level that you could never talk to them or never relate to them. They make mistakes. They eat food. They go to sleep too. So, I mean, they're people.
Sure.
Just find some commonality and talk about it. And because you're from a different area, that gives you a unique perspective that you can talk about. You know,
Okay.
they might say, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from this place. Oh, hey, I have an uncle that lives over there, you know?
Sure. Okay.
And it
yeah.
opens up the door. So, yeah,
I was just gonna say, mastery is somebody who's made every possible mistake. And then
that's good. Yeah.
And it's often those people who are successful, they're making as many mistakes as you are, but it's the way they approach those mistakes and what they learn from those mistakes afterwards that they look forward to.
Yeah.
We all do, but often we'll just forget about that mistake and not go learn completely from it.
Right. Or we let it get to ourselves too much. Like you let it affect you too much, and you just
don't
just
dwell on
dwell
it.
on it, yeah.
Learning these things from it, and then now you're going to use those things to do some more things.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
Cool. Well-
so go ahead.
I have, this is my profile, and it's me. I've got something that's on Monday that shows up. Most of you, I'm sure, have been onto meetup.com already, I'm sure. I hope. I'm saying that with a big hopefulness. But that's just the next one that pops up for me that I've signed up for. And so as you go through, you'll see a lot of different topics. Some that I have no experience whatsoever in. I don't know Drupal at all. I probably am pronouncing it the wrong way.
You are.
But because Drupal.
Yeah.
Drupal. The thing is that I've gone to different meetups and I've determined in my personal development, I really don't have an interest in that, or I really, really do. I really, really like something. And so as I'm able to go to these things, I signed up for all these groups and I started getting their notifications of when their meetups are coming. I can say, okay, you know, Padnug, what the heck is Padnug? Does anybody know? No?
There are 1,005 developers.
Yeah. There's a lot of developers. So as
I was going to say, how does she know that? I was like, oh.
Yeah, so these guys meet over a lot of times over at Intel. And so it's a bunch of heavy-duty developers, and they do a lot of really cool stuff.
And a lot of recruiters go there too.
Absolutely. A lot of recruiters go there. So this is Intel is usually where they're meeting. They happen to also have one downtown, this next one, that's going to be at a pub. Scott Hanselman, he was a speaker here at the Tech Academy. He is going to be there. So if you really enjoyed his talk, go there and say hi to him. And it's a great way to connect. But anyway, so that's one thing. And so sometimes they have acronyms for their names. But it's a bunch of developers. And yeah, go ahead.
Is Intel's international headquarters local? Local?
No.
California.
Yeah,
California.
they used to be a lot more in Portland, but as they grow, sometimes areas get bigger. And
but there's a major branch office here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, big campus. So, yeah, so some of these things that are popping up, I love virtual reality and augmented reality. So those are things I go to. And anything that shows up with that, I'm really interested in. So there's lots of things that pop up. And once in a while, they'll put in things that are like, that maybe you're not signed up for. But, somebody have a question? No? Oh, okay. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can find out about different topics and determine, yes, I like that, or no, I really don't like that. And once you've been able to cross it off your list, at least for me, that makes me happy. Because, okay, I sat through an hour or something, I was like, oh, this is really boring. Not something I'm interested in. But at least I can cross it off my list and say, hey, I don't need to go to any more of their meetups. I'm still signed up on their group because sometimes there's topics that pop up that are worthwhile that they bring other people in. But and plus I also like to show you guys what's out there too. So that's part of it. But
Quinn, did you have a question?
I just had a thought. I noticed that when I signed up for Meetup.com specifically on Hotmail, I don't know why, but a bunch of my stuff is going in a folder by default. Like I've never marked it as junk. So if you signed up and you're not seeing stuff, like I just went in and found like 15 emails in a folder for Meetup stuff. So it's something to check if you're like, why am I not seeing this? Like, am I not getting
Well, all right, guys. Well, I do have an assignment for you guys. I'd like for each of you to find a meetup and then put your name up on the board here. And then if it fits into my schedule, I'll go with you. So it could be more than, one or two people. We can go in this group and then I'll go with you. But I want to make sure like everybody gets a chance to go to a meetup that they really want to go to and see what it's like to interact, and then you guys can have a chance to see like how I do it too. So
don't everybody race up here at once.
We gotta go to our
No, well,
sign up on laptops too, and I'm putting a lot of my groups out here so that you can see it.
Yeah,
if you want
Padnug is the one over at Intel.
If you want to search by my profile, you can pull my profile up and see some of the things up.
Look on your laptops too. You guys don't have to like choose right now, but just make sure that it's within the month.
Did you look at there was a data science one?
Data science?
Yeah, there is. There's one coming up here real soon.
Really?
Yeah.
You saw it? You saw as I went past it?
It was. Have you been scrolling this whole time?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, can I turn the live stream off real quick?
I mean, like,
whatever.